exactly 33 days to go before Zimbabwe holds its 2023 harmonized elections, which will see the election of the president, MPs, senators, and councillors, including provincial councillors, to be in charge of Zimbabwe for the next 5 years. It promises to be an intriguing election, with both parties having started their campaigns. ZANU-PF already has done about 4 campaigns, while the main opposition has held one star rally, having launched their rally in Mgweru at Mkoba Stadium. And yesterday we did see quite an impressive turn of events when we saw Elizabeth Valerio winning her appeal against the rejection of her nomination papers by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. So as things stand as of today, Zimbabwe is going to be having 12 candidates vying for the office of presidency. But that remains to be seen what will happen today when Xavier Kasukwere's appeal against the High Court ruling barring him from contesting in the 2023 harmonized elections sit today in Harare, following what the High Court said that was a breach of Electoral Act Chapter 23, where he has stayed outside Zimbabwe for a consecutive period of 18 months. Now, today on Election Watch, I am joined by Sindiso Mazibisa, who is the chief mover in charge for One Bulawayo movement, to come and dissect issues that are happening in Bulawayo. Bulawayo, Country Park Sepa, particularly always rocking the headlines, especially after the candidature of the current Finance Minister, Professor Mthuli Ncube, was confirmed by ZECA. So we're going to dissect a lot of issues to do specifically with Bulawayo when it comes to the 2023 harmonized elections. Good afternoon, Mr. Mazibisa.
Thank you, Mr. Phiri. Thank you for hosting me.
All right, so let's get into it, Mr. Mazibisa. One Bulawayo movement. What's the idea behind One Bulawayo movement, and what does it seek to achieve?
All right. One Bulawayo movement is a revolutionary advocacy social movement that has got interest in social issues, economic issues, and more particularly on political issues affecting Bulawayo. As One Bulawayo movement, we define Bulawayo as the metropolitan city of Bulawayo, but we define Bulawayo broadly as well as having the greater Bulawayo, in that Bulawayo traditionally and historically was the capital city for King Mzilikazi and King Lopengula. That's why it has maintained this status. So our interest is not only in terms of Bulawayo as a city, but we also have got, in terms of our constitution and the policy planning, what we call Greater Bulawayo. Wherever the people of Bulawayo are concerned all over the world, we call them citizens of the Greater Bulawayo. But more specifically, One Bulawayo movement, as I've indicated, is an organization, social movement organization that is focusing on politics and governance. In fact, we say we are focusing on 7 pillars of influence and governance, because we're saying for Bulawayo to succeed, it needs to focus on the 7 key areas. Number 1, we're looking at the issue of politics and governance. Number 2, we're looking at the issue of education and enlightenment. We're looking at religion and spirituality. We're looking at arts and entertainment. We're looking at business and the economy. We're also looking at the media. We are also looking at family and social welfare. We're saying if any community, if you study all over the world, if any community is to succeed, it has to focus on these 7 key elements. So for Bulawayo to succeed, we need to get our politics and governance right. That is why at this particular time, what has been amplified as One Bulawayo movement, as we have rightfully pointed out, we're in an election season. So our portfolio dealing with politics and governance has been activated to work around the clock to make sure that we get our politics right. While we've got the other portfolios that we're looking at, in terms of our administrative structure, as we've rightfully indicated, I am the chief mover in charge. I've got deputies, I've got several movers who are in charge of the various 7 portfolios. Then we've got our district movers in charge, we've got our ward movers in charge, then we've got our branches. These structures are molded along the political lines for administrative purposes. So we have got portfolios that deal with all these specific issues to make sure that Bulawayo is restored to its greater status once again. And it can play a pivotal and critical role in moving this country forward.
All right. Mazibisa, you mentioned two things and you repeated them, that we need to get our politics right and that Bulawayo should be restored. What's your definition of Bulawayo getting its politics right?
One of the issues that we strongly advocate for is that we want the government to fully implement the issue of devolution. If the issue of devolution is fully implemented, it means that we are giving power back to the people. People in the wards, in the constituencies, and the branches, in the local communities, we are giving power to the communities. So we need to get our politics right. We are sick and tired of people in Bulawayo answering to Harare political parties, answering to instructions from Harare how to run the city, how to run the constituencies, how to run the communities, how political parties choose candidates at Senate level, at MP level, at council level, even how political parties are structured. That's where we've gotten issues wrong. We get people being recalled not by the communities, but by getting instructions from Harare. So we want the people in the communities to be fully responsible for choosing their leaders. Conversely, we want the communities to be fully in charge of the projects that are being implemented by the politicians. So we need a direct relationship between the leaders and those who are led. Communities have to be fully in charge.
While I understand the whole concept of communities being fully in charge, but according to the Constitution of Zimbabwe currently in terms of recalls of parliaments, people are voted on party lines. Yes. So how then do we bridge that gap in ensuring that while the party is the ultimate authority over an individual, the individual still has got enough say in the community?
Well, in my view, it's easy to do that. We need all of these political parties, mostly these political parties headed from Harare, to make sure that they align their constitutions to the will of the people. What we have seen now is the will of the political party prevailing and not the will of the people. So we need to change. We need a mind shift. A political matrix, a new political matrix has to be developed. Look, I can tell you with authority that we have got a lot of our people who are afraid to be recalled, who are afraid of the authority being brought to bear upon them by the political parties. So we have got people who are going to spend the next 5 years in council, next 5 years in parliament, dancing to the tune of political parties, and not working with the communities that have employed them and deployed them to serve their interests. And clearly that is an aberration, political aberration, which cannot be countenanced.
Well, I understand your concerns as One Bulawayo movement. Yes. My position that I'm posing to you is, these people who are in parliament or in council are deployees of the party. So how then do they will end up negating their role that they've been given by the party at the expense of what people want? Don't you feel that you are creating a conflation between the deployee and what you as One Bulawayo movement seeks to achieve?
In fact, that's the politics that we want to change.
Okay.
The politics that has prevailed is party over the people and party over the deployees. It's the people who choose those people to deploy them.
But Mr. Mazibisa, do people choose? Does the electorate choose people, or it chooses the party?
It chooses the people. In fact, that's the politics that we want. We have to, you see, you bring a new dimension. That is why we are saying that political party must stop imposing candidates, which is what we have seen happening across the political divide. We have seen some people being imposed. So we're saying it's the people who must choose their representatives, and the party must bend to what the people want. So that's why now we see here about issues of Boram Sango, a lot of people complaining, making a lot of noise on social media and so on, saying that parties are imposing candidates. That's what One Bulawayo movement is fighting, and we're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that we change this kind of thinking.
But don't you feel that One Bulawayo movement may be more impactful if they are a political movement than operating from outside? Don't you feel that you are likely to have more influence as a political entity than as a social movement that seeks to influence different political parties with different ideologies, different constitutions, and different thought processes?
Okay, I will answer you in two parts. One, we don't shy away from the fact that we're political. Yes, we're a social movement, but why we emphasize social is because we're with the people. We work with the people. That's why we call ourselves social. But we've got a radical political agenda to influence directly and indirectly issues that are happening politically in all the political parties, and we're not shy to say that.
So why not simply form a political party?
No, it's not strategic to form a political party at this particular stage. We're saying we have got the leverage and the leeway across the political divide, and we're happy because so far we've got a lot of support and support throughout all over the city. People from across the political parties coming saying, can you assist us? From about 5 political parties. So we're saying, in fact, influencing only politics and governance is not what will make Bulawayo great. So our mandate is bigger than directly and indirectly influencing the political direction across the political divide. That's why we said we've got all the other portfolios. Education and enlightenment, for example. We want to make sure that why should the whole of Matabele and the whole of Bulawayo not even have a law school, while all the other provinces and regions have got a law school? In terms of business, why should all the decisions in business and tenders be centralized in Harare? So we're saying there is more that can fit into the politics outside us just joining the bandwagon, talking only about politics and governance. So we want to influence all the other issues, religion and spirituality, looking at the issue of the media, how is Bulawayo portrayed and how does that fit into the politics? So we play a bigger role as a social movement through influencing through the 7 pillars and mountains of influence that I've alluded to.
All right, so what your definition of Greater Bulawayo, does it only revolve around Bulawayo? It extends to other provinces around Bulawayo, that being Mad South, Mad North, and the Midlands provinces?
It extends to those provinces that we've highlighted, and also we have got movers in charge South Africa. Currently, we've got a representative there, movers in charge in the UK. So we're establishing branches all over the world because we are saying these are sons and daughters of Bulawayo who can play a role. So we call that as part of Greater Bulawayo. So outside the metropolitan definition of Bulawayo. So Bulawayo is defined as Bulawayo Metropolitan and Greater Bulawayo.
All right, now let's get into the 2023 election season. Yep. Now, according to your judgment and analysis of the outgoing local authority in Bulawayo and the member of parliaments that we had, the caliber of the parliamentarians that we had in parliament over the last 5 years, yep, what's your impression of their performance?
I think they're mixed grill. I've mixed thoughts and mixed feelings about their performance. I'll divide my response into 2. One, concerning parliamentarians. We saw quite a number of parliamentarians from Bulawayo and by extension, Greater Bulawayo, advocating for quite a number of issues in terms of devolution, participating in a number of bills that sailed through parliament, although at some stage they were tainted now on the $40,000 scandal of collecting the money and not accounting to the people. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think they participated well, although some were mute. Some were mute, they are not known to have said anything. We did not see a lot of visibility online and offline in terms of report back to the constituents, which is what One Bulawayo movement is up in arms against, that we need visibility and clear feedback consistently and significantly to the constituents and the voters. So on a 6 to 1, like I'm saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, 6 out of 10, they participated. We never had, some of them did not boycotted parliament. But we did not hear of maybe private members' bills. We did not hear of radical thinking. In my view, they needed to have pushed for more electoral reforms. They needed to have pushed for more devolution powers. They needed to have pushed for more powers, for example, to the provinces and the councils. For example, as One Bulawayo movement, we're advocating for executive mayors, that we need our local authorities to have more authority and more power. We did not see the operationalization of the provincial councils, which would give more power to the provinces. So we did not see a lot of movement for 5 years over electoral reforms. And we know without proper electoral reforms, you can't run a free, fair, and credible election. So they were doing that as last-minute resort to say we needed to have more electoral reforms and so on. So that's why the other 4 out of 10 I would take away from them, because they should have been more vocal and more radical, and they should have been seen to be doing a lot in the communities.
Mazibisa, just to pose a quick question. Do you feel that MPs or councillors should have at least a minimum qualification to get to parliament or council so that they can be more effective? Say probably a degree in undergrad?
No, I would say qualifications. I wouldn't say a degree.
A qualification.
I would say a qualification. I would say a qualification. You see, whether we like it or not, legislative work is technical.
Right.
You need to understand how laws operate. So a level of degree of competency and literacy is necessarily is needed. With due respect to people without qualifications, I'm saying, but if you want to aspire for that kind of office, you need to understand those technical issues. Yes. Lawmaking inevitably is technical.
All right, quite interesting. Now let's look at the caliber of MPs that were recently released in that government gazette, where we saw the long list of MPs contesting in Bulawayo and of course surrounding areas. But today I want us to focus specifically on Bulawayo, and I want us to start with the constituency which has been causing so much noise, Country Park. We have a revered academic, Professor Mthuli Ncube, going against a partial Spanda who is a 28-year-old. And when you look at their portfolios, what is One Bulawayo movement saying in terms of the caliber of MPs? Are you going to be campaigning for specific parties or individuals?
Okay. Very interesting question. Very interesting question and very specific. With OPM, One Bulawayo movement, we are supporting candidates across the political divide. I can say confidently that we are supporting some candidates from CCC. We've got several councillors and several members of parliament candidates we are supporting. We have got members from ZANU-PF, we are backing. We have got members from Freedom Alliance that we are backing. We have got members from the United Freedom Party, UFP, we are backing councillors and members of parliament. So we have got 4 political parties. In fact, 5. We've got ZAPU. ZAPU, we have got 2 members of parliament that were backing in this election campaign. That is for Bulawayo Metropolitan. Outside Bulawayo, we've got quite a number of candidates that were backing. So yes, we have got 5 political parties I've specifically mentioned. We are backing candidates there. You asked specifically about the caliber of candidates. We think it's an impressive list for the candidates. Academically speaking, in terms also of women representation, also in terms of youth representations. We've seen CCC, for example, fielding quite a number of youthful candidates. We've seen ZANU-PF fielding seasoned politicians or technocrats. People in the like of Modi is a seasoned business person. We've seen Mthuli, like you've indicated, and although Mthuli now also is, ACC has selected an equally youthful academic. So it's academic for academic, experienced technocrat versus inexperienced but passion for we've seen how Pashu has presented himself. We've seen how Mthuli has presented himself. So it's a good litmus test to say, do people in Bulawayo want to be ensconced and deep in the historical narrative of saying we're voting along simple party lines, whether it's a donkey, we're voting for it, or people are going to see, look at the caliber, the kind of person. What is it, for example, if you say, this is CCC Pasho and this is Mthuli, what is it that Mthuli is capable of doing? What is it that Pasho is capable of doing? So we are backing capacity, competence, commitment, and vision. So people of Bulawayo must look at these 4 aspects. Is this person capable really of making meaningful contribution? If, for example, you say, here is Pasho and here is Mthuli. So let the people of Country Park choose. Who is capable, who is competent, who is committed, and who is visionary.
All right. So you mentioned quite a number of MPs that you say. Are you at liberty to disclose the names of those candidates that you say is One Bulawayo movement? We are saying people of Bulawayo, these are our candidates that we are pushing.
Okay. I'll disclose quite a number, but not all. I will not be exhaustive. We are backing, for example, Desire Moyo, CCC in Kulumani. We are backing Decent Pachila, Lveve Makandeni. We are backing Dando, Nkosi, CCC candidate, Country Park. We are supportive of Mthuli Ncwebe's candidature in Country Park, ZANU PF. We are supporting Godwin Zwabose, Makwekwe Lopengula from the United Freedom Party. We are supporting several candidates, Mkwanans, Isbanda, and so on, councillors, also from the Freedom Alliance. So for those I can disclose now. We are supporting David Coltart's candidature. We are supporting OD Nkomo's candidature for CCC councillors. So those openly we are supporting. Others we are in negotiations, material support, training, because we also specialize in political training and strategy. We are assisting them in terms of strategy and training. Others were directly supporting them on the ground, training their volunteers, training their election agents, and where we can, sourcing funds and giving them material support. So all these I have mentioned now, we are directly and indirectly supporting.
All right, I was going to answer that question, that how are you supporting them, but you have already preempted me. I am with Sindiso Mazibisa, who is the chief mover in charge for One Bulawayo movement, the CMIC for One Bulawayo movement, OPM. CMIC, yep. What's the inspiration behind that?
We are leading a movement. So our members are called movers because they are moving in the communities. They are moving the agenda for the people of Bulawayo. So our members are called movers. So I am in charge of the movement. That's why I am the mover in charge.
Whose idea was it?
This idea was born out of an organization called the Southern Stars Foundation. It's a Julie Register Trust. We did a lot of work over the past years, and we noticed that we needed to be more vocal. So the Southern Stars Foundation was looking to raise stars, and it seeks to raise stars, is still active, seeks to raise stars, people who will impact in the southern part of the country, who will impact the region. But it's more of a trust. So this one is taking more this agenda as a radical, a step forward. So that's why now we decided to form a movement, not just like a docile organization. We call it a movement because it's something that is growing, like a veldt fire.
Growing like a field fire. Well, we wait to see the impact that One Bulawayo movement will have on the 2023 harmonized elections. As you heard the chief member in charge, Sindiso Mazibisa, saying that they are supporting candidates based on their attributes and caliber to deliver when they get to a local authority and of course the National Assembly. He did mention quite a number of contestants, rather candidates that are going to be contesting in the 2023 harmonized elections, and those that include Mthuli Ncwebe in Country Park. They are supporting him. They are also supporting Decent Pachila in Emakandeni. They are also supporting Odinkomo in a local authority. So those are some of the candidates. They've also said that they are supporting a couple of candidates from ZAPU and some from UFP, if I got him correct. Now, Mazibisa, we have spoken extensively about the issue of the caliber of MPs.
Yep.
Now, I want to draw you to the issue of the harmonized elections. Do you think by holding harmonized elections, naturally the electorate is going to vote on party lines because it is a harmonized election? And my question to you is, should we then deharmonize the election in order to enhance the caliber of MPs that we have and the caliber of councillors that we have?
I agree that we need to deharmonize for several reasons. One, I think it was an overly political decision to harmonize elections, to make sure that political parties rally people behind their president, their member of parliament, and their councillors, including the senators and so on. So the issue of harmonization does not work in the best interest of proper governance. Why I say so is because if you deharmonize, which is what we're advocating for as One Bulawayo movement, and that should be part of the legislative agenda for the members of parliament, not only we are supporting, but we think as a movement, as an advocacy part, we're going to be advocating for deharmonization. Look at how, for example, South Africa is deharmonized, and even how previously deharmonization was working. You have council elections at a specific time in between the parliamentary elections. What that does is that it forces citizens, it forces the people to focus on the caliber of their councillors outside the political pressure for the MPs and the presidential election. So people are forced to vote more along capacity and capability lines, not along the issue of simply being railroaded. That you are being told that, look, when you just go, you see CC, ZANU, ZAPU, and so on, they are forced to vote along those lines. So my view would be that if we de-harmonize the elections, we're going to see more credible, more committed, and more visionary people being voted for, because there would be no pressure to be voting along political lines. But people are going to be forced to look at the caliber of the candidates they are voting for. So politicization is too much in terms of harmonized elections.
Do you think it's really politicization, or it's a matter of looking at budget constraints to say, why not just do one election in 5 years and then we move forward, instead of us doing to be always in election mode? Doesn't that then slow down the pace that the government may want to move with?
But I've heard about that argument. I think it's a lazy argument. It's not an honest argument to say a country can fail to budget for elections, because effectively the nomination court is still normally, look, it's an electoral commission that is seized throughout the year. That's why there are by-elections any given time. Even if all the MPs were to die, ZEC will still be obliged, the government will still be obliged to hold elections. So it's disingenuous to say the fiscus can fail to hold elections. Suppose, why do we have hold elections? We hold elections because we want to make sure we elect competent people. So it's a lazy and disingenuous argument to say it's the fiscus that can run short of money to have elections. No, it's not an honest argument.
The argument can further extend to the fact that once you are always in election mode, okay. Well, short break and we'll come back after this message. Keep watching KeYona TV, the one. Of August 2023, Zimbabweans go to the polls to elect its president, MPs, and councillors to lead the country for the next 5 years. KeYona TV brings you rolling coverage of the 2023 harmonized elections in a fair and balanced manner. Join me, Leslie Phiri, on the 2023 Elections Candidate Speak series as we put aspiring candidates on the spotlight. Make informed decisions by tuning into this series, giving you incisive, objective, and stimulating debates every Wednesday from 20:30 hours to 21:30 hours on KeYona TV, the one, the only. Quite an interesting conversation that we have been having with the chief mover in charge of the One Bulawayo movement, Mr. Sindiso Mazibisa, who spoke at length on what One Bulawayo movement stands for and seeks to achieve. So in a nutshell, Mazibisa, as we conclude this interview, what would be your message to the electorate in Bulawayo as we go towards the 23 August elections, looking at the caliber of MPs, councillors, and of course the presidential election that is upon us?
Very simple message. To the people of Bulawayo, don't vote for mercenaries, don't vote for imposters. Look at capacity, commitment, capability, and a visionary leadership for the city. We can do it as people of Bulawayo. Vote across political lines. That's the simple message One Bulawayo movement has for you.
All right, thank you so much for joining KeYona TV. That is the message coming through from One Bulawayo movement as we draw closer to the 23 August harmonized elections, and it remains to be seen who will win it. And according to your projections, Mazibisa, before we knock off, how do you think it's going to pan out in Bulawayo?
I see the ruling party having 30 to 40% of the vote. And I see the opposition so defined, getting 60 to 70% of the vote.
That's it from me and Mazibisa. Catch us next time, same place on KeYona TV, the one, the only.